Hello everybody, we are live. Sorry for the delay, we've had some technical issues, but all sorted now. We've got the lovely Jerome Armstrong here again today, and of course the wonderful Jonathan Griffiths. How is everybody today? Jerome, let's start with you. How are you?
Sure. I'm doing well. I think saying that the audio issues are sorted is probably wishful thinking at this point. So you guys in the live chat, let us know. Hopefully we're somewhat balanced. But yeah, we spent the last 15 minutes now. We both got here about 10 minutes before the scheduled start trying to figure this out. I don't know how much computer work you guys have ever done behind the scenes out in the audience, but you'd be surprised. It's seemingly every video, even if we keep each of our individual settings exactly the same, by the time we log back into StreamYard, something is different to where Jonathan has to rebalance the audio every single time. So it's always kind of an interesting way to start the program.
It's frustrating, isn't it?
We've revamped the system, so we've now got a basically a headphone splitter, so Sophie and I can have our own individual, unique earphones. She's still got the one broken one.
I'm left with like a little bit
hear
of
through one ear,
earbuds.
basically.
But at least I'm not having to like lean on him the whole time just to hear. So
basically, for a point of reference, every time we plug into anything, any kind of Zoom, StreamYard, web conferencing thing, Facebook, anything you video someone with through my laptop, it changes all the settings. I have to go back and restart it again.
It's so
to reset the software, make sure all the things are ticked in the right places. Now there's a different button I know how to press, so I don't hear myself speaking and not hear Jerome.
Yes, because poor Jerome was honestly quiet as anything. Like the computer whizzing sound was louder than him. So at least now we can hear what he has to say, because he's always full of interesting things.
Well, I think at the moment, the most interesting thing that I could suggest is we should probably get some kind of donation train going for Jonathan to buy him a new computer. I know that's the next major expense. Jonathan has spent many, many hundreds of pounds just on audio recording equipment and software. So the next purchase will be a computer.
Yes, it will be. So feel free to send any super chats.
I'd say I've spent that much. I've had I've had a significant amount of help with audio and expenses of that. What Jerome means to say is I've wasted a lot of money on microphones and headphones and all sorts of things that don't work. That's what he really means. So it's all to no avail.
And now we're hoping this is worked, and we've just got to figure out maybe a computer that messes with the system. Who knows? Maybe when we get a better computer with all these lovely super chats, we'll
This is a bigger point to ask the viewers. So if anyone is like actually tech savvy, not like they own a laptop, so people that know stuff about things, if you've had any experience making videos or understand how YouTube Creator Studio works, or you're looking to make a video for a presentation of some sort, if you know anything about that, what laptop to use, let me know. My budget's probably equivalent of about $1,000. I'm aiming to buy that within the next 2 months. And it's just right now my limitations are my laptop. The webcam seems fine. I can see you and you can see me, but
I think everything else is kind of as best as we're going to get, isn't it? All the audio, the video, it's simply like the software on the computer. And I think because it's an older computer, you can't do anything with the software if it's not going to allow it. So an upgrade computer it is.
Jonathan, I apologize for being on my phone just for the last minute. Our third guest host sent me a message a number of minutes ago asking for the link. So I normally silence my phone when we go live, so that's on me that he's running a little bit late.
he sent me a message. My phone's always on silent because I get hundreds of messages each day. So the problem with that though is because I get hundreds of messages and emails each day, notifications of all kinds. The problem that happens is that because I know it's on silent, I don't want to miss anything. So I check it hundreds of times each day.
I'm usually pretty discriminatory, like texts or phone calls from my daughter's mom. I'll have the notifications go off, but otherwise I tend to mute or silence most notifications. And I guess I could probably respond to, you two guys when you send me stuff.
Mate, I mean, if you've got a little bit of time, that would be great.
Yeah, it's quite funny our dynamic because I get all my work done in the morning while Jerome's still fast asleep.
Yeah.
Generally speaking. So then in the afternoon it's just chill usually.
I wake up every day to a couple of messages from Jonathan, and usually I miss things in the Carnivore crew group chat or comments on your YouTube channel, and it'll be 4:30 in the morning sometimes, and I feel like I'm behind and I have to catch up.
I know, to be fair, sometimes I can go like a couple of hours, and it's obviously the crucial hours, and then I miss so much on the crew chat, and I'm like, oh my gosh, what's happened? So the poor people in Australia probably miss it all because they're way ahead or way behind, aren't they? So
yeah,
bless them.
Yeah.
Wonderful. Should we go through the chat, or are we waiting for our guest?
I sent them a voice note a while ago. I think it's a few days ago. Just click on the link I sent you. I've sent them a link. I asked him to click the link, and he's wondering about his StreamYard account. I just said, please just click the link.
Yeah.
So all he's got to do is click the link. So if he's listening now, if you're listening to Rich, please just click the link. That's all you have to do. Then make sure your audio, video selections are switched on. That's literally it. Yeah. Well, it turns out I'm here. That's good to know.
Well, fantastic. You're present. Are you sure it's you this time?
I always did at Bart's like 6 hours before. All right. Well, Rick's gaining all the competition.
What's happening? Let me see if it's mine at all.
You guys are good. You went out for about 10 seconds. So you were just saying that Rick is first.
Yeah.
Yeah, apologies, guys. We're switching all our Wi-Fi's off now. 150 megabits per second Wi-Fi, and we can't run a video with our friends online. Hilarious world, isn't it?
It is. Well, Rick's here. Hello, Rick.
He's gained some coins.
He has gained some. Well done.
I think it's 100 coins on my channel.
It is.
100. Wow, I'm
just
being far too generous with handing those out.
1,000, isn't it?
1,000.
Stop giving so many away, Jerome.
I'm going to introduce Rich House to the stream now. He's on the chat, ready to go. So it might be a second or two of him loading it. How's it going, Rich?
Hey.
What's good?
Good. Can you hear me?
I can hear you.
I can hear you and I can see you.
All right. Yeah, I have my, hope you don't mind, I have my, one of my 3 infrared lights here. So, is there an echo also? Here I'm listening as if, I'm hearing you guys as if you're in the same room. So this is very good news.
You sound fine to me.
That's good. We spend a lot of time on audio.
No, I can't hear an echo.
I'm just going to lower the volume here. I wonder where it is. Hold on.
It sounds good to me. I think the thing is with microphones, you have to be nice and close to them. If you've got an echo in your room, that's the thing.
Right.
You notice with me, I'm quite distant from my microphone when I'm recording. You know, my big mic that's hanging down here or whatever it is. That's because I've padded out my room with like acoustic panels and all sorts of nonsense.
It looks quite cool, actually.
Yeah.
It's like a proper studio.
My studio. Yeah. So Rich and I have been friends now online for quite a long, probably, was that a long time? A few months, probably. What do you think?
Hey, can I make a little intro of myself, by the way, right now? If you don't mind.
Yeah, do it. That'll be best. Yeah, go for it.
Okay, I'm coming from quite a different context, perspective, and history to the low carb carnivore community and lifestyle. Because me, lifestyle so is very important, almost as important as the whole diet thing. And so I come from the very artistic, high-end Cirque du Soleil artistic history, where I demanded this from the start, from 22 years of age, high level of dynamic, physiological, bodily performance from myself. And so because this is what I had from all adults in my childhood, they were the opposite of me. They were all massively obese, very cumbersome, in basic physical mobility, walking fast, stopping, turn, lateral movements, up and down, squats, and just plainly jumping vertically, boop, 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 without saying, "Oh, my knees hurt so much. Please, I need to stop now."
Yeah.
So this is basically the from the angle that I come to the and I've been in this like necessarily way before you guys. I'm 55 years old today, so I started basically. I discovered the Atkins, the very low carb version of it in 1990, October 1990, and I've never looked back since. So it's been just a long progression of low carb and then some blips, paleo, and to where we are today. And for many years, I got out of it completely, like socially, publicly, because I was too jaded. But when I found out, discovered, possibly like you guys, Bart K and Nikki Bandor on the internet, it spiked my interest, and I couldn't help it to come back into public life, so to speak, especially with the internet. You didn't have the internet back then. Yeah, I remember these young people, all of you. One time you didn't have the fucking internet, you know. Oh, sorry, it's you too. I'm gonna have to watch myself, right? Right, guys.
It's
Yes, I like
Jonathan. In moderation, in light moderation. I
All
think
right, so
some profanity
that's
is
basically it for now, for me.
yeah.
That's my
I
initial
like a great
intro.
story because most a lot of us have like found a way of like messing ourselves up with like, typical conventional wisdom and diet, that sort of thing. They've been like, oh, sod it, let's just do the carnivore diet. Rich has almost progressed to the carnivore diet over the decade. So he started at Atkins, low carb, perhaps keto, then now he's on the carnivore diet. It's
like
it's quite interesting to see that.
July
you know.
1st, last July 1st, 2022, I went like very for a few months, very much hardcore carnivore, like beef, butter, and eggs, but mostly beef, and just to prove to myself, you know, that you absolutely do not need even 0.3 grams of carbs a day for months and months and years on end. Well, I'm gonna prove this to myself years on end, while being able to walk with 500 pounds barefoot in my kitchen or outside.
It's mad way, isn't it?
Yeah, I started Carnival July 2022, didn't I?
Yeah.
So
Yeah.
today's show, I
Literally the
hope
same
I
couple of days
don't-
after him.
Yeah, Sophie and you guys. I hope I'm not going to just dominate and crash and blow up your thread here in your show, because me, I want to come in here from a psychological conditioning and programming to monetize more than ever, to give you tips and suggestions and power in the business world, to monetize against all oppositions. To quote the famous pro bodybuilder, I think he's the only one still. Larry Wheels, he came up short. He never actually got his pro card. Did you know that, Jonathan? By the way, did you know that?
No, I think he's trying to do classic or something. Classic physique.
Yes, but he was encouraged for many
Seems to have his
years.
fingers in a lot of pots.
Yes, arm wrestling and so on. But the famous Stan Efferding, you know the guy, right? He is famous. Jerome, perhaps you know him longer than Jonathan, right? Stan Efferding?
Stan the Rhino, yeah.
Yeah. Former world powerlifting record holder at 45 years old. He did this at 45 years old. Before Larry Wills came in and others. And he's famous more than ever. As of today, more than ever. With the following articulation, which is, if quite successful to the extent you are in the amateur and pro realm, bodybuilders around the world, men and women, would apply their scheduling, disciplining, work ethic at doing actual bodybuilding through their monetization, through their business ventures, they'd be significantly, if not at least a little bit more successful in the business world at monetizing the historical bodybuilding venture, the present ones, unless they already retired or semi-retired, and going into the future. Because, Jerome, maybe you know this much more than the others here. Stan Efferding is famous to have become a multimillionaire before he got his pro card. Did you know that?
Well, I guess
That
I
is
was no.
fascinating.
Became a pro in
Fascinating. Okay.
two things, yeah.
In the Emerald Cup, okay, along the West Coast, he got his Masters. No, not even Masters. Or maybe it is his Masters pro card. Ripped like crazy at 250 pounds. And he's just about 6 feet. So he did do this. Larry Mills didn't. He's the only one so far, and that can still hold the moniker and say this to everybody else and us. I am the strongest bodybuilder. The strongest bodybuilder, because the strongest part is the powerlifting history. Strongest professional bodybuilder. But at one point, correct me if I'm wrong, you guys, at one point, your pro card, you need to compete X number of times per year or every few years if you want to retain it. So I wouldn't be surprised by now if he has ditched it, or he was told that, hey, you can't say any more that, because he's completely out of it. But of course, because he follows my age very closely, very much. We're just a few months apart, which is 55 or so.
Rich,
is there a particular issue, topic we are discussing this evening? Yes, Jerome, you were saying?
After Jonathan finishes, I guess I have a question for you.
Oh, sorry, Jonathan.
Yeah, so this is typically a live Q&A, and
what we
usually do is get a few different questions from people. And I did a question from Lambs, so it was one of my moderators on my channel. I'll just go and pull it up now, actually. He didn't actually ask this question, but he wanted to ask it. But I found a way of asking a question without it sounding too stupid. So he'll probably he'll understand what I mean when I ask it.
Oh, that's generous of you.
So basically what he was asking was, does expenditure during training make a difference in the long run? And should we adapt our diet to work closely with our energy expenditure? So what do you guys think?
Should we start with Jerome?
Hold on, can you repeat that slowly?
Yeah, you modulated out right at the beginning.
Yeah. So does energy expenditure during training make a difference in the long run? Should we adapt our diet to work closely with our energy expenditure?
Is that it?
So if you're training, for example, using high intensity training methods versus high volume, does it make any difference towards like how your diet would change, being more intake or less intake?
Gotcha. I guess I'll start with that. I go back to Herman Pontzer's book Burn quite a bit, where he suggested a model of metabolism where in the presence of a moderate to high amounts of physical activity, the body will essentially slow its metabolic rate to compensate through the additional energy expended through activity. So I know at least more like older bodybuilding wisdom is on your training days, eat a few more so-called calories, or if you're doing a little bit more exercise volume, you may need a little bit of extra energy on those particular training days. I don't think that particularly holds true. my personal preference has always been to try and hold macros or calories or however you're tracking your food intake to essentially the same amount every single day, and then making minute adjustments as necessary. I would concede that very high level athletes, collegiate, professional, Olympic, probably do have to make adjustments on their training days because they'll often train 2 to 6 or 8 hours a day. So I could certainly understand how some consideration and modulation of diet in that regard might be necessary. But for the average gym goer, or in most instances, bodybuilders who just want to build muscles, reduce body fat, and look better naked, my personal preference is to hold diet steady every single day, whether you're training or not, and then just make small adjustments based on how your body is reacting and how your numbers are going in the gym.
Yeah.
Brilliant. What do you think, Rich?
I vote for that. Yeah. And I'm glad you make the distinction when they are competing in, or are they higher level athletes? Yes, because I've learned the hard way. And my weakness, there is like in actual training there. Me, I specialize more in feats of strength, like near passing out feats of strength, by wearing the world's strongest mouthpiece, by the way. There is one, by the way. It's not the one at Walmart. Okay. My weakness was always to undereat. Undereat. Like basically, since childhood, I am basically never hungry. Never hungry. I kid you not. Okay, I would have to abuse and eat a junk garbage diet, a lot of tasty, just palatable, tasty foods to have enough so-called calories to keep weight. And Jonathan, by now for a long time now, you have a hard time, oftentimes, to keep weight, right? I mean, just to.
Oh yeah.
Just, we have to be like even more careful, so to speak, in the carnivore diet.
Yeah, when your gut's disrupted and you don't absorb many foods. I mean, a lot of foods were making me feel sick at the time.
Yeah.
I'm not having that same sickness right now, but I'm talking my gut as a result of the antibiotics I was using post-surgery has been so weak. Like, I almost look at food in the morning and think, I don't want this. I found a way around it.
Do you think there's still a slight leftover of the antibiotic remnants to you, even if, 15, 16, 17 weeks post?
Yeah, I think post-surgery, I think the antibiotics themselves have left my system. I think it's a case of dealing with the aftermath, the damage, and not just the gut microbiome side of it, like everything else down the line. Perhaps the mitochondrial damage. I've got a lot of fatigue, so yeah, that's what I kind of think. I'm eating more now though, which is good.
Yeah, it's definitely got more.
It helps when you go to a 1-year-old's birthday party and you get some birthday cake in. That definitely helps.
Helps boost your appetite.
Jonathan, have you
Handmade by myself.
Have you toyed around with the idea of interest, and correct me if I'm wrong, just throwing in some small amounts of maybe simple carbohydrates, hoping it might spur your appetite a little bit and get you to eat a little bit more food? I'm not in favor
do that.
of.
Yeah.
Sorry.
Yeah, I understand what you're going to ask. So yeah, I already know what you're going to ask before you say it. I tried fruit a couple of times, and I'm talking about like maybe 2 days. I added some fruit in.
Yeah.
Not for the sake of needing it. It's more of an appetite stimulant. I know people that when they add in more fruit, they end up eating more food. So that was the intention of that. Did it work? Yes. Would it keep working? Yes. But I don't want to be putting sugar in my diet all the time. Yeah, I still get a level of low-grade inflammation, which I don't really want.
Gotcha.
Some joint pain. Like when I wake up in the morning, a good way for me to know. But the first thing I know when I've got too many carbs in my system, too much crap basically, is around my eyes. I'll feel a bit like groggy. I get like these flakes around your eyes. It feels like your eyes are glued together in the morning. That's how I know. That's the first indicator I have. I know if it's milk or dairy, I need to put it back a bit.
Gotcha.
Shall I get back to the question?
Yeah, sorry to go down that rabbit hole.
You got me. No, it made good sense. Shall I answer the question?
Yeah, back to
I'd love to hear you guys' thoughts.
I'll give Sophie a go as well. Yeah. So my thoughts toward
You're good.
we're definitely back.
Yep, you're good.
Yeah, there was just a slight.
Okay, I'm like precariously looking at the screen thinking, well, I was a bit reluctant to carry on talking. I don't know. Okay, I'll try.
Just
Yeah,
slight
so-
dropouts.
I think, I think energy expenditure, in terms of like our training, so going to the gym an hour or two a week, maybe, well, say 1 to 5 hours per week, showing what kind of doing and that sort of thing. I think that has a very minimal impact on the amount of food that we need to eat. And when I say that, I mean the actual energy expenditure in that given time. So obviously when we're exercising, we'll have a higher energy demand. So we'll have to eat more food to compensate for that time. But if we're looking at, it's almost like the diet versus training aspect of it. So we know diet probably makes up about 90% of the weight gain or weight loss that we're going to acquire, particularly weight loss. And it's about 10% of that will be training. So I don't think having, for example, Jerome's training, which is, I always use Jerome as an example, 5 or 6 sets, 3 times per week, 15 sets a week, probably an hour of training, actual training per week. Myself, perhaps 3.5, 4 hours of training per week. I don't think that there's going to be a massive difference if you put us as twins in a study where I'll be really ripped and he'll be fat. I don't think the difference is that much. I think the main thing is what of those.
Jerome,
to
can you hear
put
me?
more metabolically costly tissue on your body.
Yeah, Jonathan, you dropped out when you said, I think the most important thing is, and then you cut out for about 5
Yeah, I
seconds.
was just checking with Jerome to see if it's just between all 3 of us or just between you and Jerome, me, and the dropout is from your side, I think, Jonathan. Very slight, very short. Audio only.
Yeah, I think so.
Are you on Wi-Fi?
Yeah. So the most important thing, if it lets me say it, the actual Wi-Fi here is not very great. If the Wi-Fi lets me tell you.
Oh, you're on Wi-Fi. That's right.
Yeah, I think the most important thing is the diet aspect of it. I don't think it's going to make a big difference if you're doing Jerome's training or my training. And for example, if we were twins, I don't think his training would make him fat and my training make me thin. I think that difference is so marginal. And what we make up for the rest of the course of the day for our diet is more important. Essentially, when we're trying to oxidize more tissue, more substrate, we're expending more carbons, and we're losing weight as a result of the expenditure of those carbons. So when we actually measure weight loss, it is carbons that are being lost. I think what happens over the course of a day is going to be much more significant. Now, saying that, I think the intake of food will go up as a result of training. So if you're training very hard, your body will give you hunger signals to eat more food. If you're training 4 or 5 times per week, your best bet is honestly to just eat the same diet for 7 days a week. If you're training once per week, you might have that slight higher day on that one day. Then the rest of 6 days, you might be eating like a staggered amount, like slightly less. But in the case of me and Jerome, 3 to 4 sessions per week, I don't think the difference will be that much. Yeah. What do you think, Sophie?
I think our bodies are very adaptive, should I say. So I think there's obviously, as a woman, there's times of a month that my hunger signals are up. And I have to adapt my body to that. But then I don't gain fat in that week just because my energy's increased. My gym is still the exact same. The only difference is I'm eating a bit more, but my fat hasn't increased. I think our body is adaptive in the sense of it's not going to cause like detrimental effects. But I think, like you say, there's no need to fuel your body with so much energy if it doesn't need it. And if you kind of start with like a happy medium, your body will then tell you whether it needs more or less, and then you'll know how to maintain it. I think the more energy you give it, the more work it's got to do, which then means the more tired you're going to get anyway, because your body's working overtime to sort the energy out.
Yeah, here's guys.
Okay, it's on the screen.
Question. So it's regards to what Lamb said. Yeah. So we're talking about some training. His training frequency's gone down. During this time, I did also decrease his food intake on two of the 7 days of the week. So what I've done is I've noticed this as a coach, and I thought, okay, he's not as much as his recovery has gone down. So what I'm going to do is reduce those 2 days of lower intake to 1 day of lower intake. Then reassess at the end of the week, and that's how coaching effectively works. So you do things by a point-by-point fashion. At the same time, when we talk about protein-fat ratios, what I've basically done is just put the fat back up. That's basically what I've done. He was getting good fat loss results. He's noticing it. So yeah, I don't see the point for massive changes. You know, he's learning a lot of his training. He's learning how to execute exercises properly. So yeah, it's his goal isn't to lose all the fat in a month. His goal is, how can I get from A to B over a period of, you know, a sensible amount of time, but maintain it and have a good physique as a result of it, and learn things along the way. That's what we're aiming for. Was a big enough.
And he's definitely achieving that, isn't he? Yeah. He's learning so much. He's definitely come a long way from this.
Despite not being a teenager or even a young adult, if I remember correctly. How do you pronounce his name? Zbigniew?
Zbigniew. Yeah, I won't guess how old he is. I'll say he's mid-30s.
Oh, I know how old he is, but I just don't want to reveal if he without his consent. You know, I want to respect the guy.
You've been for a gentleman.
He definitely looks younger than what he is. I saw him in the street and had to guess his age. I wouldn't guess his age to what he actually is. It would definitely.
Yeah.
He's probably sat now smiling to be like, yes, I look young.
He's telling his wife and kids. Question here from Kyle.
There's a question.
Read this out one up. It's quite a long
one. So, will increasing my fat intake help with recovery and soreness? Soreness is lasting for many days, currently consuming 140 to 180 grams of fat and 120 to 130 grams of protein. Jonathan, you suggested 130 of each. What do we think, guys? Let's see, who should we start with? Should we start with Rich? He's got his hand up.
Yeah.
Okay. Jonathan, you know about this. A few days ago, I unfortunately was compelled to post that I have officially Morton's neuroma under my right foot. Okay, between the third and the fourth toe. I'll confirm this at the end of the week because maybe I'll have to scratch that. This is how fast I heal from physical destruction that I impose on myself. Okay? This is how fast. Because remember when my post was, it says unbearable pain. I'm looking for a surgery option.
Yeah.
Maybe scratch that too. Because at the rate I'm learning about, again, because of Bart K and the Carnivore Diet, and everything is coming to a head in such an integrated fashion of powerful self-control. It's amazing. Look, I bought a few years ago, still the world's most powerful money can buy, percussion, those lithium battery-powered percussion vibrators. Okay? And I use it more than ever. And I've used it directly under my feet the last 3 to 4 days. And I kid you not, because I work as a high-power manager, I walk all day. And it's much healthier than I have a sit-down job career. And I still have chills up and down my spine. How? Sometimes when you do stuff, it's been gathering dust, almost a dust for a few months since I bought it. So, because, you know, like a lot of us men, we wait until we actually have pain beyond slight discomfort before we take care of ourselves, or at least we start. So I recommend this guy to prep, do more prehab before he starts his workout. Me, you know what I do? Very quickly, okay? I soak myself in a warm bath near hot water, thermal immersion. Hot bath. Yeah, just before I go work out. Many people do not like to have to be hot, steaming hot before they work out. Me, I think I have to at this point. Okay, it helps massively. So take a warm bath, costs nothing. After that, I take my precaution. Me now at this point, it's mostly just under my feet, not anything else other than my glutes and the side glutes and all around the core. That's it, and my hamstrings also. Yeah, I just full power. I just shove that into my muscles, the big muscles, but only slight fluttering pressure under the feet, and I crimp them like this. When you do a ballet, I crimp as opposed to having the toes up. I crimp them like this, as if I want to grab with my feet a branch, as if I was a chimpanzee, while I put the pressure of the percussion, and then I relax. I crimp, all the while putting pressure. That's just some of my very recent self-optimization that I swear by, because I was looking this past weekend. Brian Shaw lost his last attempt to win his 5 world champion strongman. And I said, oh man, I better get my shit together, because I never want to be in his situation. The psychological pain, disappointment vis-a-vis his fans, his wife, and his kids, and himself most of all. So yeah, how about that? Did you ever hear about that? You prehab your workouts to the extent they're going to be strong and powerful and heavy, like max effort day. And it works fabulously. I just pre-hot myself, I call it. I soak myself.
Yeah, Jerome and I are keen on keeping warm as well before training.
It doesn't need to be above the chest, just up to near the sternum. That's it. Lie down. In warm water, warm enough so I can bear to go in for just a few seconds. Not minutes, just seconds. And then when I come out, I'm steaming. Right away, I take the my percussion massager, and because my weak point, it always has been my feet, under my feet since I was a kid. I have relatively small feet for a 5'11" guy. Size 9, 8.5 out to size 9. Yeah.
Sorry, my dad's 6 foot and he's size 9 as well.
And because I do extreme classical ballet and jumps and spins and dance, torsion, where you spin on the what is it? Not the ball, no, the palm of your feet. That has contributed, my pain under my right foot, and so on. So anyway, that's what I recommend to reduce and or mitigate the soreness this guy is having more than ever, he says. But go on, that's my take. Doo-doo.
Let's get you out. Just out of interest, Rich, have you tried toe spacers?
Oh, I was on Amazon yesterday. I have not yet, but I will buy them, mostly to wear overnight. Sophie?
Yeah.
Have you ever worn them? Toe spacers?
No.
Your nails painting or anything?
No, because my feet are too ticklish to even
I've
get
got
pedicure.
enormous gappy feet, Rich, so I don't need to wear them.
Oh, so you're
Yeah.
that
My
stick-
feet are like
you're not
that.
ti- Oh my God. Sophie, did you say you're ticklish?
Yeah, very.
Nah, you don't know
I
what
can't. I can't touch my feet.
Now, I'm more ticklish than you, I bet you. But anyway, I plan to wear them initially overnight when I'm sleeping, because I've been reading. It can be quite quickly uncomfortable when you're working standing with them in your feet. Jerome is nodding here. Yes. So overnight, and I'm gonna have lots of updates, Facebook and elsewhere, social media, about the toe spacers and so on. But but go on. That's my take.
Give it a whirl. I mean, I've played about with those little for the painting your toes, but I've not. It's literally been in for like a minute and then I've taken it off.
I'm all about working in the gaps.
I know you are about to get, but yeah, maybe I'll pop to the shop and get a cheap one just to try.
Do you still wear
Adrian.
Sophie? Do you wear high heel shoes, even like 1 or 2 inches?
Sometimes, very rarely.
Rarely.
Only if it's like a really special occasion.
Yes, I'm all right. Yes.
Yeah, she's not daft. She's
I'm not a
living
girly girl.
correctly.
I stick to trainers.
Oh, thank you.
As much as I can, I stick to trainers.
Wonderful. But anyway, next question, or continue on this one.
This is Carnival Ramblings, Rich.
Yes.
We tend to ramble about the same question for about 20 odd minutes.
Hey! By the way, I wanted to bring the following up. You know, Led Zeppelin, "Ramble On." Was that the title of one of their songs? "Ramble On."
I think so.
So
Ramble on.
I have a question.
Yeah.
Do you? Because I think you plan to monetize this video, right? As usual. Maybe ask YouTube or ChatGPT 4 if it will affect your monetization if you put just a very short, a few seconds of "Ramble On" Led Zeppelin as a theme music.
You could probably argue that that's fair use, but the
Trolls are
using of anything copyrighted, I wouldn't even mess around with, because
Especially on YouTube, they're crazy. Yeah.
there's a chance that all of the monetization from this video, the 30 to 40 pence that Jonathan is going to make from it, would go straight to Led Zeppelin, and they have enough money as this is. They don't need any more.
Yeah.
Yeah, I feel bad about that.
Speaking
I
of
have
which,
worked out a way to play music through these, but it's hard to do.
Jonathan and Jerome and Sophie, question here. Did you ever informally or formally try to come up with different words for your show instead of ramblings, musings? Carnivore deliberation.
No, it's a play on a troll that I had a few months ago.
Okay, right.
So I had on Bart K's channel, yeah. So a guy said, I think the comment's still there actually. So on my interview with Bart K like 6 months ago.
Okay.
Bart put him in his place very well, and he sort of said, the troll said, there's no value to this talk. This Jonathan guy's just talking the whole time, and it's just basically rambling. Bear in mind, Rich, it was me who was being interviewed to ask about me.
Yeah.
So of course I'm going to be rambling about myself. That's the purpose of an interview.
Yeah. Placate these naysayers. Unbelievable. It's called envy and jealousy. I hate them all. Monetize them. Go on.
So, Jonathan, what
that's
do you
how
think
we got
about
the name. Is
So I was going to ask Jonathan what you think about Kyle's question.
Yeah, what's that, Drew?
Yeah.
Carl's question, yeah. You can increase fat. I mean, I'd look at recovery. If you're not sleeping well, was it because you're not sleeping well because you're stressed out? If that was a problem with recovery, is it you're not recovering well or sleeping well because you're not eating enough? I mean, this gentleman does have a very high energy expenditure. He's very fit. He's if you saw him work out, you know he's an athlete sort of thing. Like, takes it seriously. So yeah, I'd try increasing the fat just gradually. Maybe. I mean, if he's around 140, yeah, he could go up to like 180 quite easily over maybe about a week or two. Mm-hmm. See what happens. He's lean as well, so he doesn't. He's not in the case where he needs to lose body fat or be overly cautious about his intake.
Guys, do we know if this guy is not skimping at all on sodium chloride?
Not sure.
I'm thinking if he follows me, he'll be salting to taste.
Me, I salt.
Yeah, a lot of people get this wrong.
In return, quick questions, not to hog too much. I have learned to, most of all, Stan Efferding. Secondly, the guy that wrote that dedicated to his life, he's still to this day, mostly known for his writing a book on the sulfix. It's called the sulfix.
James Phil Antonio.
You know about it, okay?
Yep.
Okay, I damned to taste, okay? No. I shoved down sodium chloride beyond to taste, okay? And my effing goodness, man, like Stan Efferding says, no, you don't F your creatine, F your this and this supplement. Start more at the basic first. Master the basic of the basic electrolytes. Number one, sodium effing chloride. The lubrication that it provides to the joints and torque, actual biochemical torque to get up from the hole of a squat. Double your weight squat. in the hole. And especially when you go way beyond down in the hole 90 degrees, which I don't do anymore. I sit, and I have lots of squats where I sit in the hole for a few seconds and squat, and it's great. It's the best way to build bulletproof knees, by the way. But anyway, I don't want to hug too much the stream.
Yeah, I think erring on the side of more salt than less salt is better, definitely.
No,
the
I'm
problem
sorry.
that I noticed from people that I speak with, yeah,
Jonathan, I'm sorry. I didn't even bother to ask. This guy, is he doing bodybuilding type of workouts, or the powerlifting?
he's doing some
like,
home workouts with some weights.
yeah, so
quite a few reps.
maybe sodium
very
wouldn't
fitness
matter so
orientated.
much, because I take too much myself as an example. But anyway, go on.
Yeah, the only problem I notice with people that have a lot of salt is they drink a shit ton of water. When you drink a shit ton of water, you end up peeing a lot. When you end up peeing a lot, you end up having this diuresis effect where you dilute your B complex in your body. So you end up needing more meat, or whenever you do too much of one thing, it's something else will counteract that. That's why I'm kind of erring on the side of caution here, saying salt to taste. But while saying that, I would say eat more salt than less salt.
Mm-hmm.
It's not problematic to eat a bit more salt, but eating less salt, I think, is very problematic.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
Do you provide more commentary?
Sure. I guess with respect to salt, I salt the hell out of my food.
Yes.
But I like tasting a little bit of salt, and I've had people that have taken bites out of what I eat, and they're like, "Oh my god, it's so salty." So for me, I salt to taste, but my to taste is like almost a thin crust of salt on the outside of whatever I'm eating.
Yes.
And then I just drink water to taste. I don't add electrolytes to my water because I figure I'm probably getting the appropriate amount through my food. Looking at Kyle's question, and I know very loosely where he's coming from. So I would be a little hesitant with my limited knowledge of his history of how he got to those macronutrient numbers of looking at making any kind of adjustments. I'll admit I tend to look at things primarily through body composition, and I think Kyle is training more so for an overall broad degree of fitness and a wide capacity to essentially engage in anything physically challenging. So
I like CrossFit.
yeah, if you add those activities plus strength training, I certainly wouldn't take anything away. My first thought is probably add a little bit of protein, but I wouldn't make any dietary changes without first knowing how you got to that point and more specifics about what you're actually doing. You could be potentially getting a little bit too much activity and have to dial a few things back. Jonathan was right, it could be sleep or stress. Rich could be right where there's a lot of things either pre or post workout that you can do to enable some better recovery. There's a lot of variables in that equation. Those are great types of questions to really get fleshed out over the course of a consultation with Jonathan. Otherwise, anytime you elaborate either through messaging any one of us, I'd be happy to offer some further thoughts. But my first thought is probably a little bit more protein, and I'd really be curious, not much, like maybe 10 more grams, and I'd really be looking at what does your weekly routine look like? What are your strength training days? What other activities are you doing? I think you normally march quite a bit with a rucksack, if I remember correctly. But I would have to get more of a big picture thing before I could really make any recommendations.
Good advice. That's the answer I was hoping for. Yeah, you got to know where someone's been before you can suggest where they should go.
Yeah.
Oh yeah, I think we've smashed that up. Next. So also he does 16/8 fasting, 2 meals a day. First meal at 11:30 to 12 p.m. Should I be eating 3 meals but stay within my same macros? Will that help with the recovery and soreness? I'll go over this one very briefly. I don't think it will make much, if any, difference. If you're talking about protein synthesis, I think until you get very high in terms of your protein grams, the effect is very minimal. And even then, it's just a case of being able to get the food down itself and digest it a bit better. I honestly don't think it'll make much difference. I mean, if you're not recovering well, I wouldn't be erring on the side of timing your fasting periods. I'd do always the suggested thing is, just satiety, then eat again when you're next hungry. So it might be your recovery might be better if you did a 15-7, or it might be better if you did a 14-8 or 9 or whatever it is. Where the number is, I don't know.
I'm not good at quick
your appetite should dictate what time that you eat food. I think I'm not the biggest fan of numbers.
Your body doesn't know numbers and it doesn't know times.
Yep.
If you're curious, Carl, then just kind of make a week of is it intuitive eating, where you just eat when you're hungry? Is that the right word?
Yeah, eat without tracking, eat without. Yeah, and you'll find where you fall. Your body doesn't want to deplete.
Do we know actually what he eats?
Yeah, maybe stick.
It's Carnival Diet, so it's I know he has a couple of berries sometimes with some, I believe it's yogurt, some beef, some eggs. From memory, that's what I know.
Yeah, I'd say stick to your macros that you're doing at the minute, and maybe do like the intuitive eating where you just eat when you're hungry to satiation, and then go from there. It might just be that it's the timings at the minute as opposed to the macros.
What do you gentlemen think? What do you think, Rich?
Well, I would like to know specifically exactly what he eats, because right now I have Stan Efferding in my mind saying, but Flex Wheeler, yes, I know I have not been eating red meat as much as you absolutely demand me to do, and yes, therefore my posing looks less full. He was training with Flex Wheeler to get his pro card, and he got it. And Flex Wheeler said, no, none of this too much chicken and rice. No. Okay? You're not Jay Cutler or the people that may do better with, with not so much red meat. Okay? So I don't know actually at all exact type of carnivore-based food that he eats, how he responds from compared to one type of food to another. That's all I have to say. And I don't know the age of this guy. Age matters. So the endocrine hormone system, believe me, it matters.
Oh yeah, I guess he's probably about mid-30s, I think.
Oh, so still quite young then.
Not quite young.
Well, one last thing on this.
What do you think, Jerome?
Sorry, go ahead, Rich, and then I'll give my 2 cents.
Yeah, if this guy, has he ever tested his total and free testosterone level and how much it converts to estradiol and general estrogen? Because that matters too much.
Didn't he the other day, Jerome?
Sorry, what was that, Jonathan?
It cuts out every now and then. More
Yeah,
often
he
than
asked
not, because of the Wi-Fi.
Question about his test and how to increase.
Yeah, that's right. I forgot about that. In addressing Kyle's question, I don't think going from 2 meals a day to 3 meals a day is going to do anything significant or really that noticeable in terms of your recovery. In general, I'm a fan of fewer meals compared to more meals, but I also don't think a lot of people should eat to the point where they feel like they have a brick in their stomach or they're feeling tired or sluggish after they eat. So if you feel good when you're eating, you're full, and you don't feel sluggish, tired, some degree of like malaise, then I would just keep it at 2 meals and look at adjusting some of these other variables.
Yeah, that's good advice, I think.
Yeah.
Any final thoughts?
No, I don't think so. Like we've said, there's many different factors for what could be affecting your recovery and your soreness. It's hard to pinpoint exactly what it is to change. It could be a simple matter of you need to have better quality sleep, which, because let's be honest, we all are. It's life. So it's, yeah.
One more thing as well is, has he introduced a novel stimulus recently? Has he been doing lots of rowing on his rowing machine, then added in loads of new exercises to his regime? Is he training closer to failure than he was before? All these things factor into it. Your appetite, he said here I put him on 130 protein, 130 fat. Yeah. Now he's eating more fat. His appetite is probably going in that sort of direction, so his output is higher. So his body's trying to match it.
Yeah.
So it might be he needs to be on that, 180 fat, maybe the high end of that range for a bit. Give it some time in the current training phase. Try not to mix things up too much. Just try and get progressively stronger at what you're trying to do in terms of specific exercises, and just leave it at that. Then try Rich's recovery methods, like talking about the heat and things like that as well.
It may not work for you, but
lots of
rule it
things you
out
can
for
take
you.
away.
Yeah. That's the thing, you don't know until you try, do you? That's the thing with training and recovering. You don't know
that I was going to
until you
fall.
try.
That's right, Sophie. To go off on what you're saying, I had no clue that I was going to fall in love with kick scootering. I never tried. I started 3 years ago. Oh, in my 50s. How come? I hate bicycling. I think it's not very ergonomic. You're sitting on your ass, you're crushing your prostate gland and your each area. Us men, we're not Sophie. No. You couldn't pay me enough to go bicycling. By the way, I also was attacked.
It still hurts us women,
Yeah, so kick scooter, you're standing up. It's very ergonomic and lots of bilateral work. I'm too right side dominant, so more working the left leg and left side. But anyway, that's it. 38 years young. Okay. Okay. Well. Okay. Yeah. Okay.
I'd probably scale back a bit with something. I'd pick one of those things and scale back. Like if it's a resistance training, it might be one of those sessions. If you're doing lots of jump rope, sprinting, or rowing, I'd scale back on that as well. If you like training every day,
that, it's
like I spoke to a guy yesterday.
Yeah, go on.
Yeah, I spoke to a guy in a consultation, I think yesterday, and he wants to do basic training twice a week and cycling twice a week. I said, don't go full hog, so just do some really basic movements, twice per week. Maybe like I think he put him on a full body workout. I can't remember. Is yesterday. Then obviously I just said, if you're going to do cycling, do maybe 2 sessions per week on the lower end of your normal cycling volume. Then scale it up from there. So go up and down the scale very gradually. It could just be that you're doing too much cardio of some sort, too much sprints, too much rowing, something like that. Increase fat, that's a good suggestion. I know egg yolks have a shit ton of cholesterol in them. That will help boost up testosterone if that was the issue, if you've not got enough cholesterol in your diet. But sounds of it, you've got enough in. So
could it also be that because he's training to failure, could it be that because he's training a lot more to failure than he was, that actually his body just is obviously needing a bit more time to recover, so maybe dropping because he says 3 to 4 times a week, maybe dropping a day.
Maybe dropping a day or dropping volume. So
yeah, maybe that's
if he's doing 40 sets per week, he could be doing 35 sets per week.
Yeah.
Something like that.
And that
maybe
makes
that
us...
a try, Carl.
And that may just bring up just at least a little bit, or not make his testosterone so low.
Yeah.
Because overtraining can crash testosterone at a certain point.
I know it creates issues for a lot of women as well. I coach quite a few women, and typically they come to me in their overtraining. I spoke to a lady recently, and she was doing, I think, 209 total sets. That was her total amount of sets per week.
Yeah.
209.
What?
Yeah.
More than Jay Cutler, Rich.
Oh, wow. But go on.
That's probably more than all of us put together.
Again,
yeah, I'm doing.
Because, sorry to cut in, Jonathan. I really think it's because we've been incentivized massively, especially from the Scamerican fitness culture to, hey, eat all you want so that you can train all you want. Train all you want so that you can eat all you want. You know.
Yeah.
But anyway.
As the only
I
American,
feel for
as the only American in the live chat, yeah, you're probably right, but I still want to do this a little bit.
Yeah, me, it's my biggest problem to overtrain. I mean, come on, pull back, because I love it so much. Me working out, new passing out, or stuff like that, it's a drag. But anyway, go on. For most people, it's the opposite, But anyway.
Yeah, I do see a lot of. I mean this in a respectful way. I do see a lot of women trying to use the lever to get them in a way closer to be able to eating cookies and stuff every day.
Yeah.
So she's found the carnivore diet as a result of her, eating off plan and eating food she's not meant to. She's just fed up with it now. I had a similar experience. I was binge eating a lot before, and I know that I could go back to that very easily if I take the mic.
Yeah.
So what I do is I really try to limit it. I pull back. I have that sort of measured approach where I think I'm always looking back to what I'm doing when I'm eating, thinking, how did I feel before, during, and after? And usually when I have binge eaten in the past, it's always been a net negative when I eat too much or eat the wrong foods after. So, it's always triggered. A lot of the time it's triggered by overtraining.
Yeah.
Tires you out, and you rationalise eating extra food.
I think a lot of people overtrain to start with. I definitely overtrained at the start of when I was like getting into the gym, because I was under the impression the more exercise I did, the quicker I'd get to my end goal. Whereas actually that's not the case. You just burn out. And now I do about 50 sets a week, and I'm still getting to my goal, but I'm doing a lot less than what I was doing. It's more intense as opposed to amount, isn't it? Like Jerome does. He does 6 sets a session, and look at his physique.
18 sets a week, roughly.
18 sets a week, and look at his physique. So.
And Jerome,
you,
you're a fan of slow, super slow, and so I will be experimenting on that to do my squats and my loaded carry. My specialty, by the way, is loaded carries. Absolute new passing out.
You're at those.
3-4 times my body weight vertically. Yes, with a mouthpiece, it's just crushing. Because hey, any of you guys use mouthpieces?
No.
Crush.
I chew a lot of gum.
You're you're doing bodybuilding. It's not powerlifting or strongman. But anyway, yeah. So super slow. Oh, I'm gonna experiment with that. It's not
a lot of soreness, Rich.
If you're training specific movements, you're still gonna have to do those movements the way that you would in any kind of sport related performance. So like if you're doing really heavy carries, I would do them exactly the same way you're doing them now. I wouldn't emulate that movement super slow, because it'll probably have a detriment to your overall performance. I try and delineate strength training for enhancing the general trainable factors of functional ability quite a bit from athletic sport specific movements. So in my opinion, when you go to the gym, you're going to the gym to enhance those general trainable factors: muscular size and strength, cardiovascular conditioning, flexibility, joint composition, and body composition. And then you let your specific activities handle the precise neuromuscular conditioning of those pathways. So in talking about overtraining, I'm reminded of Steve Maxwell has the first Brazilian Jiu-Jitsu gym on the East Coast, and he trained Ronda Rousey, he trained Royce Gracie, and he would have them only strength train once a week because of the sheer amount of volume that they would do, because MMA guys will very easily train 8+ hours a day. And you see it in the UFC. Guys get hurt all the time. There's always changes to the card. Mark Asanovich trained his football players in the NFL for the Tampa Bay Buccaneers and Jacksonville Jaguars 1 day a week. He would have them do strength training on Monday, and they would do 1 set to failure per each muscle group. And they would separate that as much as possible from the actual specific athletic training. So there's some nuance there if you're going to start messing around with lifting very slowly, that if you're any kind of performance athlete, I would separate that as far as you can from practicing those specific performances. Because your strength training absolutely can be detrimental to your athletic performance if they're too close to one another.
That is very well articulated. My goodness, it shows that you're a professional at this.
I just got lucky.
Takes it very seriously.
I say whatever comes to mind, and 9 out of 10 times, unlike my sex life, I just get lucky.
Okay.
Why do you think we have him on here? Because he speaks wisdom.
Wonderful.
Brilliant.
Thank you.
Yeah. Jerome's got way of explaining training and principles around that, which is unusual. In the sense that most times I listen to people talk about training, I'm like, this is absolute bullshit. You're completely wrong. You're completely wrong. You're completely wrong.
What are you even saying?
I have to keep my mouth closed, sort of thing. But yeah,
You don't
really disagree with anything because Jerome can rationalize it because he has rational muscle.
You did public speaking, Jerome, in your past, right? Significantly, or at least a little bit, right?
Not a large amount. I've done a couple speaking engagements. When I worked in corporate America, I spoke at a leadership conference, but I made that happen. I wasn't scheduled to speak, and I just said, "Hey, I want to speak at this," and they're like, "Sure." So I got to speak at that event. I spoke at a career day here locally because I'm just trying to do everything I can to get involved in the community. So I don't do a lot of public speaking, but given the opportunity, I do, but it's mostly for community building because the best thing I can do to try and grow my local business is to get involved and get in front of as many people as I can.
I just want to say it betrays your lack of experience in public speaking because, to your credit, you have a very good public speaking voice. Just to let you know, because I have a lot of experience in doing public speaking, the corporate in the corporate realm in my battles with HR. But go on, Jonathan. You were saying. Feminist
Jeremy, if you're willing to share your past experience, that would be quite nice for the audience to hear if they've not heard already. Because Jerome's someone I look up to in that regard, especially when it comes to speaking and explaining things very, very well. I lack that ability sometimes, and I have lacked it a lot in the past. So it might be useful for you to detail that a little bit.
Well, so one of the suggestions I suggest newbies that are quite uncomfortable.
I was on about Jerome, Rich.
Oh,
sorry.
I thought you were asking Rich. So
no, you, Jerome.
See, a lot of people when they instantly hear public speaking, stage fright equals stage fright. Okay, but me, I also in the realm of the category of public speaking, I also include vocalizing, singing, humming. And like, because I posted this again a few days ago during my commute, I do a lot of on video, Facebook Live, vocalizing.
Yep.
And those people that have never heard me vocalizing, hey, hold on, you're saying you're doing this with a bass music of Holy Night. How come you don't say the words? That's not the point. It's to exercise the actual muscles that are the vocal cords. Okay, to your liking in a specific way to hopefully get a certain result in the future. Okay, so I tell people, record yourself on video. And when you're singing, humming, or speaking, reciting a poem, a speech, look yourself in the mirror and record yourself on video. And it's allowed to discuss. See, look, especially in America, in the Western civilization countries, okay? We've been, especially in America, I can't repeat often enough. even though it betrays American Idol history, right? The voice and singing. American Idol started in America. But that is quite betraying because I know this intimately, especially for young boys, young white men. We've been incentivized since infancy to not harness, speak up, ask questions, and explore this incredible psychological power that is our verbal abilities for persuasion, for conditioning, and therefore programming, hopefully as an end result. The masses are just one-on-one. And this thing about stage fright, great song from Def Leppard in their Pyromania album, okay? I'm listening to this album in 1983, and I've got to learn I went down the rabbit hole about what is this thing about stage fright? How come do you know, Jerome? and everybody else in here, did you know it's the number one phobia, if I remember correctly, for everybody across the line. Are you kidding me? It's my drug. Even more than working out, scootering, and powerlifting. Yeah, how about that, eh? The power that the people and the money that they are leaving on the table for having by having poor, unwell exploited and harnessed verbal capacity and mentoring others, because you have no idea how people look at me in my corporate life, the new hires, the older guys that are so not envious of me in a bad way, but more like jealous and an admiring way. My goodness, people. And look, learn from the women, okay? One of the many reasons why women dominate corporate world, which is exemplified in your country, Jerome, that more than half of all managers in all categories of management is women now. Okay, one of the number one advantages that they have since infancy, they are incentivized psychologically, emotionally, to speak up verbally first. Verbally first. Verbally first. It breaks my heart every day, okay? To witness far and wide in my personal and corporate life and in my small venture entrepreneurial life, online and offline. That's so many. It's a beyond a pandemic. It's beyond an epidemic of young white boys and young men and older white men. I vouch for my race without excluding any other races for ultimate prosperity, because all other races, they do vouch for their own, except us, supposedly white people. We are psychologically, implicitly and explicitly conditioned not to vouch and advocate for ourselves first, our communities, families, and so on and so on. But anyway, I don't want to annoy too much YouTube in the direction where I'm going. So there you go. You know exactly what I'm about.
That's valuable to hear, definitely.
Yeah. So, by the way, I am enjoying tremendously my initial appearance here, for what it's worth.
I'm glad to hear that.
Oh, good to hear.
I will be back. Yeah. And it has nothing to do with Arnold Schwarzenegger, the evil son of a bitch, SOB, Arnold Schwarzenegger. He betrayed millions and perhaps hundreds and billions of white men and young boys.
What did he say, Sophie? Fuck your...
You're thinking about Mr. Screw Your Freedom, yeah.
Screw Your Freedom, yes. Like that.
Oh, wow.
You come on, do it.
He's taking it back now, but I think it's too late. He should have took it back 2 years ago when he said it.
Jerome, yes, my God, that was spot on. How did he do that? Wow.
I grew up. I'm 37. I was born in '85, so I grew up on Schwarzenegger and
so
Stallone
well
movies.
Done. Don't you think, guys? Hey,
and then,
this guy, natural actor.
And usually you find out what a piece of shit Arnold is, and guys like Hulk Hogan and some other people too, where their whole life is a work and their whole life is about fucking over whoever they need to put themselves in the position to get what they want, oftentimes at the cost of other people. And I just have no respect for that.
And how dare him accept to be in the Game Changers, that evil movie in Netflix, right? The Game Changers.
Well, the pea protein affiliation.
Yeah,
I think it makes him less of a man. If
I'm sure he made a lot of money. He probably made a lot of money off of that.
He's very personal friend.
You guys hear this, right?
Also. Yeah. Anyway,
the two times that he's meant to talk at an exhibition in the UK, the Arnold Classic UK, he hasn't turned up to them in either of the years.
He can afford not to now, eh? The guy is worth over $400 million. The son of a bitch, you know? Like, as opposed to Sylvester Stallone, he cares still a lot more. Did you notice that? They're still buddies. But look at the direction in life they went. Eh? Sylvester Stallone. Oh my goodness, this guy, when he needs to, and most of the time he keeps quite fit. Eh? Quite fit, as opposed to Arnold.
Yeah.
Anyway, do we have more questions, or will we continue rambling on? And also, I tell people, if you like to sing a little bit in the shower, expand that in doing karaoke. Whatever sparks oneself to use more one's verbal power. And you can.
I tend to just sing in a car, don't I?
You know, start by whispering also. We have these zero cost recording technology today. In my day, we had 35 millimeter film, beta and VHS tape, extremely expensive. I still hate my parents in many ways to this day that they took next to zero, black and white, never mind color, 35 millimeter photo film of me and my childhood. Never mind me singing and so on.
Film is expensive, or at least it was.
Look, why do I, most of the time when I communicate with you, Jonathan, and you, Jerome, and hopefully Sophie in the future, is audio. For millions of years, we communicated not with pigeons, but with verbal board. We shouted, we screamed, we sang with each other. We did tribal dance to bring the rain, not text on this and everywhere, and so on. Because with verbal communication, at least, you get a lot more of the whole body communication dimension, inflection, tonality, the mood, the actual emotional mood of the person. You are pleasantly or not pleasantly having an interaction with.
Jerome and I speak a lot through voice notes and phone calls and things. So it's funny you mentioned that. It's like we value the conversation we have more in that sort of sense. But sometimes it'll be he'll text our voice note, I'll voice note back. Then sometimes he'll just voice note me the entire time, and I'll text back the entire time. But it's the preferred method is voice note, yeah.
Sometimes I try, and it'll depend if I know that you have the kids around, and I have been a little profane on this video, but I'm far more fast and loose with profanity in voice messages and in person than it's going to be on video, because it's more expressive. Yeah. It helps you better convey whatever emotion you're trying to. So if I know that the girls are around, I usually don't do that as much. Otherwise, sometimes, like a lot of times I'm out walking my dog, and I think I sent you a message the other day. I walk basically as fast as I can with my dog, and that's not very good for sending voice messages.
Sorry to interrupt here, but I do not want for you to remember me after this first show as hogging and derailing your live stream about answering in Q&A and so on.
Rich, we've had about 1 or 2 questions. I wouldn't worry too much.
I don't know.
All the questions that we have had.
Right, good, because I love to dominate and railroad people verbally and sing over them and whisper over them and do a lot of animation of my fingers and my limbs and so on to animate a situation. And so there you go. Oh yeah, one of the many reasons why more than ever there's a divergence. Okay, more than ever there's a disparity between girls and boys. Their speaking and quality, the quality of their volume of verbal deliberation, and that includes everything: singing, whispering, conversation in their personal and professional lives, is because, sadly, especially directed at young boys, white boys, young men, is the following, sadly. And this is absolutely the goddamn truth. You may deny it all you want, but me, I went down the rabbit hole, and I'm very intimately in tune with the following. Are you ready? You're not ready at all, but I don't give a shit. Okay, here it comes. And I'm getting misty in my eyes also right now. It's because since infancy, if you're a boy, you catch this intuitively with your instinct, with your 5 senses, with your whole body, not just with your ears and your eyes. We are subtly to explicitly incentivized with 1,000,001 cues and hints that if we ask too many questions verbally, we sing too much. We talk too much. Like I've been told a million times over in my childhood. Hey, you ask too many questions. You're too curious. You actually sing and talk too much. It's been nefariously, damagingly redirected and oriented and spotlighted on young boys. If you do too much of that, somehow, maybe you're not going to grow up as straight and as heterosexual as you could be, and or you're going to be assigned in the jokerized, comedized shithole of, hey, everything's a joke, take it easy, hey dude, hold my beer, nah, I'll have another beer, and this is part of the conditioning. You'll have an LGBTQ infinitely, at least in a humorous, jokerized, funny fashion. Oh, there's Bob. He's showing his feminine side to him. There you go. He's singing, talking 100 miles per hour, and so on. Going down the rabbit hole verbally about anything and everything, as opposed to man up, go play football, go crash headfirst and risk a concussion. That will confirm, that will build manly, masculine character. Well, this is my challenge to the world, and it's been on for several decades. If you think me doing classical ballet and doing a near full split leg vertical jumps, and in the same month, I'm walking barefoot with 500 pounds in my hands, if you think I cannot do both or this is Photoshop, well, you have another thing coming. Broke. Okay? You can have both. You can have both. You can behave. You can do anything that you want to do. Mind you, you have to be mindful in the future that the consequences of that is you're going to be very much subtly, implicitly, to explicitly ostracized, put aside, ignored, because you're just so intentionally, willingly, joyously, with a big grin on your face, choosing to go outside the political, social, economic Overton window. I suggest you go check that word, okay? Overton window. Anyway, I don't want to hug too much the show. Let's carry on.
Yeah. So I take it you're not a fan of a lot of the recent popularity of Stoicism?
Some parts of it are absolutely incredibly valid. But the part about encasing, receiving, being more on the defensive, well, fuck no! No! Oh! And this touches on the emotion of anger. Look, I'm already whispering. I'm a total complete master of the emotion of anger.
Mm-hmm.
True and true. I do not know anybody else in the world. And I invite them all to challenge me on stage in front of millions of people if they dare me to do so. Young boys and young men have been incentivized to feel about the emotion of anger as destructive in all contexts, in every context, all the time. It should be repressed. It is the sine qua non, the singularity of evilness, the source of Satan and the devil. It's the emotion that is the most blacked out, blackened, grayed out, disincentivized throughout society. Not so much for women and girls. No. That is encouraged, by the way, more than ever. That's why girls and women are more masculine than ever. It's promoted. It's to crush, destroy the nuclear reproducing white family. But anyway, I'm going very close, ever further, very quickly, in the direction of YouTube, where they despise that people talking about this. And
I'll find out tomorrow morning when I wake up and look at my YouTube account and it's been banned.
By the way, the Overton
hours of
window.
work has been put to shit, basically.
The Overton window, maybe you heard about it.
I've heard of it.
Yeah. It's not just, you can use it metaphorically, in many more practical ways than just the political context. And Bart K right now, 24/7, he's biting his tongue, literally and figuratively and psychologically. Bart K, our fellow extreme hero worker, because he knows all about this. I know Bart K from day one, from many years ago on his Odyssey channel. But he needs to ride the trip on the bleeding edge, razor's edge of what he's doing to harness the YouTube power of mass marketing, all the while pushing as much as he can in his unique, unparalleled. There's nobody, by the way, that he's a little bit similar to Bart K publicly. Privately, I'm the number one, by the way. I am that much pompous of a person, okay? Alex Jones, his anger, ranting episodes have nothing over me. Not zero. So I use my anger, the expression, my emotion of anger, in an absolute self-protective, productive, constructive way. First, for my own white race across the world, and coming back ever closer to my own kind and my colleagues in the corporate world. And for you guys, it's the number one reason. Not because I have the love of working out, strength training, the pleasure I get of it, and the health and fitness I get out of it. By far, that's not it. No. It's because you guys have chosen and succeeded where I failed utterly at reproducing my own kind at least twice. And or you guys are still young enough to continue doing so, especially you, Jonathan. I have failed miserably, completely at reproducing myself. Because I have news for you. I am not LGBT ZZZ at all. Even though I show publicly that I'm more LGBTQ ZZZ zebra infinitely more than Liberace will and have and has ever been. How about that? It's my way. Why I'm behaving like this publicly? It's my way, my own particular way, with scorn and condemnation and snicker and infinite satire and sarcasm just to show ultimate fuck you world that you can do classical ballet, you can sing the high notes and the low notes at the same time, à la Dimanche que de Bergen, all the while do the most manly, talking like this, baritone. I am Barry White, yes, and I'm the epitome of what romance is. And I'm destroying my voice right now, so that's why I cannot make a high voice, but yes, I can sing very high. And I taught myself singing. I was a choir boy until the age of 15 years old. So that was advantage. And I thank my parents for only two things. For not circumcising me and for making me. Notice, I am naturally very shy up to the age of 22 years. Still is very much today in some ways. But when I need to put myself into 5th, 7, and turbo trillion gear to get my shit into the public world, at least to some extent in this context right now, as we are here right now, live, I do it. I put my hesitation aside. And you should too. If you want to continue, increasingly so, monetizing what you are heroically doing, mentoring, and publicly showing to the world. That yes, you can have your own little bit corner in this very much messed up, effed up world where almost anything and everything is psychologized against us as a collective, against our families and kids. All right, that's it. Stop, Richard, already. No more singing.
All right, we're gonna close this up in 4 or 5 minutes because I'm in a lot of pain, and if I don't go to bed very soon under this bright light, I'll be suffering a lot tomorrow and probably the day after that.
Where's the pain? Hip? In your hip?
Hip and back, yeah, and it's just mid back to my ass crack, basically.
And if I remember correctly, you said that standing up does the opposite. It creates more pain as opposed to me. Look, I'm standing up. I always stand up. I could stand up 5, 6 hours. I do all my computing, everything, standing up all the time. You know,
Yeah, I was fine initially standing up with my lower back, but the hip now it's tearing pain. It's the sort of pain that would make you want to kill yourself.
Yeah. Okay, so let's shut this down right now.
Yeah. I was enjoying that talk though. I'm glad you covered it. Well, hopefully all you wanted to cover anyway.
No more singing, Ted. You have anything to add, Ted?
Poor Ted.
He refuses to speak.
Generally speaking, is it possible to increase the number of specific muscle fibers or a broad specific composition of muscles?
Yeah. There you go.
I think so. We're set with a certain amount in terms of what we have when we're born, in terms of ratio. That ratio can change slightly, and permutations between, say, type 2A and type 2B, it can switch over time. You have to create a demand for it. I would not concern yourself about that sort of thing. People have looked at this before. They've tried to change their whole muscle fiber type, and it's not really worked. For example, if you look at... I actually spoke about this in my first interview with Bart K. I said, Usain Bolt's muscle fiber types aren't insanely different from mine or Jerome's or Rich's. It might be that he's got more fast-twitch muscle fibers overall, but the difference isn't going to be like 10-20%. It'll be like a few percentage points. We know that because of muscle biopsies. What do you guys think?
I'll have to go back and find it. I read a study recently that suggested that hyperplasia, actually increasing new muscle fibers, might only account for about 5% of athletic performance at the highest of levels. So some degree might be possible. But yeah, Bart K in one of his more recent Saturday FAQ squads, I believe alluded to the fact that there are a lot of intermediate fiber types. And then depending on your training modality, if carried out for a long enough period of time, you can have some plasticity between those fiber types. But big picture, somebody with a really narrow body frame, small bones is never going to build a Mr. America universe or Olympian style physique. But the goal should be
Mr. England.
Possibly, it depends. But the goal should be to maximize your potential as a human being for whatever goals that you have, not try and be somebody else. Just be the best you that you can be with your goals and your vision.
And more safe than not, more safely long-term than not.
Yeah.
Just quickly on that. I've learned this revolutionary thing because again, I've been lied all my life about, fast twitch, slow twitch muscle fibers. And that they are completely independent and it's purely genetics. I almost fell down when Bart K. I learned from Bart K. It's like many of us here.
It's like gears to a car, isn't it?
You can gradually train, optimize. Wow. I said, oh my God, this is so much more convenient then. Oh my God, yes. Bring it on. Jeez. But anyway.
Oh, yeah. Andrew's got a question. Lostman.com. What was the first change in your training program or routine when you're not getting stronger in a week-by-week basis? Do you increase volume, decrease frequency, or a combination of both? I think the first thing you have to look at is where are you going wrong to not be getting stronger? That would be a consultation question, to have the back and forth to identify where you're going wrong. Now, if you're someone that's Eddie Hall, you're probably not going wrong anywhere. You're probably just capped out in terms of strength. But someone that's more of an amateur, beginner, novice, whatever you want to call it, it's probably a lot of things you could be getting wrong. There's things I get wrong all the time. Exercise selection, order of exercise, the exercise. What's the word, Jerome? You know what I'm on about. The way the technique.
Execution, I guess, was the first word.
Yeah. All those things can get completely wrong. People often get them completely wrong because when I see people's training, it's often very poor. It is very quick for people that have an eye for training and how to do it properly and effectively to know what is and isn't going wrong. Now, do you increase or decrease training frequency or a combination of both? Or volume even? I couldn't answer that, Jerome. What do you think? I think it could be either one of those.
Yeah, my first thought, if you're not getting stronger on a week-by-week basis, is looking at your training history, how new you are to training. If you're newer or a little bit more intermediate, it's probably the specific execution of what you're doing over the course of your workout. Yes, diet plays a role. Yes, sleep plays a role. Volume and frequency play a role. But I would look back over the course of your training history. How far have you come since you started lifting weights? And if you're still, especially within that first year or so, you should be making progress almost every single workout. As you get closer to your genetic potential, those results will crawl to an excruciatingly slow halt, and you will be grinding weeks or months sometimes just for 1 or 2 more repetitions, or for 2.5 more pounds or 1 kilo on one compound exercise that you're pushing a lot of weight. So I'm with Jonathan. That's probably more of a consultation question that you'd really have to go into your history with training. What have you done in the past? What's your diet and your routine and everything look like right now? But my first thought is there's something within that workout. You're probably not working hard enough, or if you're a little bit more advanced, you could possibly be going too far past the point of failure to where it could be inhibiting your recovery a bit. But I couldn't give you a direct answer, but it's my kind of what I'm leaning towards.
Rich, what do you find in your experience if you're not getting stronger? Because I know you focus a lot on strength and being powerful in different movements.
Top 2 is not eating enough, and not enough recovery. Because again, stand efforting. The key that he keeps repeating a million times over, especially as you get older, is he says he did a world powerlifting. Over 2,300 powerlifting, squat, deadlift, and bench press at 45 years old. At 45 years old. It is what took him there. It is everything else outside the gym that he did. More sleep, better quality sleep, just being more on point with the diet. It's everything else. Rehab, all that. It's everything outside the gym. Which the actual time in the gym should be a lot less. Orders of magnitude a lot less than when you're outside the gym. Go on, Jerome.
I was just going to say that I think Albert Beckles either won a professional bodybuilding show or came in second at a really high-level bodybuilding show at the age of 55. And he competed, I believe, well into his 60s. And if you look at his physique, he kept getting better as he was getting older. And even at 55, he looked better at 55 than he did in his 20s or 30s. So maybe I'm naive, but I want to believe as men, if our diet's on point, if our hormones are on point, if our sleep and everything is right where it needs to be, I think we can keep getting better well into our early to mid 60s before we're starting to go over that cusp.
Thank you. Yes, that's incredible motivation, matrix breaking speech. Yes, General. Yeah. Go on.
That's it. The speech is over.
Next.
Yeah, I feel motivated. I'm the youngest guy here.
Yeah.
Hey, hold on. How come you're smiling, Jonathan? You're supposed to be in excruciating pain. We're supposed to be shutting things down soon, no?
Oh, I'm always in pain.
He's got a.
What a tough guy you are! I'm gonna cry for you, Dan. Keep smiling. I'm gonna cry.
He has inexhaustible willpower to.
God, you're a real Viking, Dan. Yes,
quite persistent.
Thor. I'm the real life like Thor.
Jerome will tell you the story when I was going live at some point with someone. And I was waiting for them. It was actually my fault because I started too early, and I was like hanging on the edge of my seat just to carry on being live.
Jonathan was just about to end like a 2-hour live video, and then his guest hopped on, and he stayed on for another 2 hours and never let on to the. I think he verbally expressed once he was getting uncomfortable, but he and I spoke a little bit either that night when he got done or the next morning, and he's like I can't bleep, say a bunch of stuff, and I was impressed.
God, that's beyond Mother Teresa generosity. My goodness, I'm proud of you, young man. Total power.
I think the value sometimes people have is it kind of makes up for the pain that I might be in sometimes. Like I had a lady on talking about autism.
Come on, set a limit to yourself. Come on, man. Come on. Going forward.
I don't really have limits. Do I say
no limits?
You don't really compliment yourself, and you don't take it when I compliment you either.
No. Very good. All right, well, this has been brilliant. It's I appreciate you coming on, Rich. I know we've kind of had these discussions off air a bit already in some kind of way, but it's nice to actually hear it in a full format with the way it's meant to be said, I think. So thank you for that. I appreciate that.
You're very welcome, young man.
Rich, do you have a YouTube channel right now?
got a few,
Not
haven't you?
that, but share my, because I did put it in your Facebook Messenger, Jonathan. Share my Twitter, okay? From there, you can go everywhere else, okay? YouTube,
Gotcha.
Rumble, Odyssey, and a million other maybe the platforms you don't even know that exists. Telegram, Gab.
Just making a note to myself.
What is your
right now.
Twitter, sorry? I think I've got the link somewhere.
General Veritas. It's in your, General Veritas is what? Latin for truth, you know? Yeah, it's, you can do this post show perhaps. From there, you can find, and because Twitter now is Elon Musk, oh my God, guys, can you imagine? It's a million times more freedom oriented. Yeah.
I still haven't sussed out Facebook. I'm stuck on that one.
I stick to a couple of socials at a time.
Oh, I get so many emails and messages.
I think if you added Twitter into the mix, I think you'd end up
It's
throwing
unreal.
your phone.
You're such in pain right now. I feel your pain all the way here through the optical internet here that I have.
Right, I'm gonna go off this. You guys are welcome to stay online for as long as you like. Durin has access to my stuff, so you can end this broadcast whenever he chooses. You can carry on asking questions if you want.
Yeah, maybe just a
It's
few
quite
minutes
late
with
here, we're wearing
Jerome, and
glasses.
then after I also have to go.
Yeah, I have to pick up my daughter
of course.
soon, so I think we'll probably just end it out here.
Yeah, let's shut everything down. The Three Musketeers. No, sorry, the Four Musketeers. Sophie, yes.
There were four. There were four musketeers.
Sophie,
Forget
what?
me.
That's true.
Yeah, Sophie. Just one last thing for Sophie. Sophie, thank you
Yeah.
very much. Thank you very much.
Thank you.
You're one
you
of
for
the many
coming on,
joys
chaps.
in my life for being a heroic mom, a mother
Thank you.
to your kids.
That's
to
why
the
I
next
dashed
She
it.
does a very
generation.
good job.
You have no idea what you're doing now, the power, the benevolency that you're putting out there to your kids and as an example and making proud of your ancestors.
Thank you.
All right, that's it. You're very welcome.
Give
Thanks
yourself some
everyone for your
credit,
time.
too.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I do me best. Not perfect, but I do me best. But that's why I dashed off, because the little one woke up. So I had to sneak off. Well, thank you, chaps, for coming on. Thank you, Jonathan, for hosting. And thanks, everybody, for your questions. We shall see
Thank you both.
next
Appreciate that.
time.
Thanks, guys.